What's going on, guys? Nathan here, and today we're going to talk about these 7 things that you will never see a professional poker player doing at the table. If you see anyone doing these 7 things, it is likely you are in a good poker game full of amateurs and recreational players, aka our fishy friends, the people we make the money against. So let's dive right into it. Alright guys, so counting down from 7 to 1, never do these 7 things. Number 7 is bluffing the calling stations. Guys, all professional poker players know that you do not make the money in poker by trying to bluff somebody who doesn't like to fold. People who like to call, hence the name calling stations. These typically refer to the recreational poker players. They just play for fun. They're gonna call you down with anything, guys. You don't want to bluff them. And I'm gonna give you example hands, by the way, for every single thing on this list so you understand what I'm talking about. But let's jump into it. You have ace jack offsuit and you're up against one of our fishy friends, and on the river the board reads king of diamonds, queen of spades, 7 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, and 3 of hearts. Now guys, in a situation like this, I know it sucks, I know it's painful, we all want to try to win every pot, but the best course of action here against this specific player type is to simply check and give up. Why? Because they're just going to call you with a hand like king 8 for top pair, queen 5 for second pair, 7-6 for third pair, pocket 8s for third pair. Guys, I could go on and on and on. If you've played any amount of poker, you've seen these players before. They play half the deck. They've got so many trashy hands that have hit this board in some manner, and they're not going to fold because players like this do not fold for any amount. They love to play the sheriff. Guys, bottom line, do not try to bluff the fish at the poker table. It is a losing strategy. Pick a better player type to bluff. Let's move on to thing number 6, and that is calling out of position with trap hands. All right, so this one is a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to walk you through this. All right, so OOP number 1, that stands for out of position. And what I mean by this is a situation where you're going to be acting first on the flop, turn, and river. These are the post-flop streets, and this is a massive proven disadvantage in poker because you simply have to act first. You're going to be playing the guessing game. Anytime that you get to act last in poker, this is a far superior advantage because you get to see what they do first. So we do not want to be calling out of position with what I call trap hands. These are hands like king jack, queen jack, ace 10, and that is because all poker pros know these hands will simply get you in trouble. So for example, you raise up king jack offsuit, king of hearts, jack of clubs in early position. Now I'm going to put the image on your screen right now of the seats at a 6 max poker table just so you understand what I'm talking about. EP is early position, MP is middle position, then you have the cutoff and the button, which are the 2 most profitable seats at the poker table, and then you have the 2 blinds, the small blind and the big blind. So once again, you've raised up your king jack in early position and a tag 3-bets you, and a 3-bet, by the way, is a re-raise before the flop in poker. A tag 3-bets you on the button. Now you choose to call in this situation, and once again, you're going to be out of position going into the flop. And a tag, by the way, I should mention, this is a tight and aggressive player. This is totally different from the player we were just talking about. A tag is one of the best players in the game. By the way, if you want to know exactly what hands to play in all situations and all of my 5 major poker player types, I talk about this in much more detail in my free poker cheat sheet, and I'll link that up in the description below. But you decide to call, flop comes down with a king of spades, 7 of hearts, 8 of diamonds. Guys, the problem here is you're just going to lose a big pot to either ace king or king queen, and that is why it is not recommended that you call with a hand like this out of position, because when you're up against one of these competent regulars like this, a tight and aggressive player, one of the better players at the poker table, guys, they're not 3-betting you with a hand like king 10 or king 8. That's what fish do. No, they're 3-betting you with a hand like ace king or king queen, and you're just setting yourself up for disaster when a flop like this comes. If you want to call pre-flop with this hand, make sure you have position. It's going to make things so much more easier for you. But overall, guys, even when you're in position, I would typically just recommend folding hands like this versus a 3-bet from a competent player because they're often just going to get you in trouble. Hence the name trap hand. So let's move on to thing number 5 that you're never going to see good poker players doing, and that is paying off the nits. So guys, let's talk about a different poker player type now. The nit is the tightest player at the table. This is the player that's been sitting around waiting for their aces and their kings for the last hour. You know, they're not putting any money in the pot. They're folding every hand pre-flop, and lo and behold, they wake up and they start betting and raising you. And we're going to talk about that in an example right now. Guys, bottom line, they're not bluffing you out out of the blue in a situation like this. When a player like this, the tightest player at the table, wakes up, it's because they have something really good. So you don't want to play into their game. Example hand, you've got pocket kings, and the nit raises you on the turn of 9 of diamonds, jack of spades, 8 of hearts, and 5 of clubs. Guys, this is a classic situation where if you call with your overpair, they're just gonna flip over the bad news that they have you crushed with a hand like pocket nines, pocket jacks, pocket eights, pocket fives, or a hand like 9-8. All of these hands have you in terrible, terrible shape, something like 5%, 10%, 15% chance to win going into the river. We don't need to be a math genius to understand that those are terrible odds, and we don't win at poker by putting money in the pot when we have such terrible odds like that. So guys, I know it sucks, I know it's painful, but you need to understand player type. And hopefully you're already noticing a pattern here with everything on this list. Poker is all about playing the player. This is the fundamental bedrock philosophy of everything that I teach about this game. It's how I've been able to get ahead as a 10+ year professional, is I understand what player type I'm up against. When the tightest player at the table raises you on the turn or the river, they have it, guys. If you have a 1-pair hand, you'd save yourself a lot of money and stress by just folding right now. Let's move on to thing number 4. Let's talk about a different hand now, and that is top pair. Guys, good poker players, poker pros, they know to play a hand like top pair cautiously, whereas a lot of amateurs get themselves in trouble with this. Let me give you an example. Once again, you raise up ace jack of hearts, really nice hand. I definitely suggest playing that in most situations. And once again, in this hand, we're going to assume that you're up against one of these regular, competent players who's watching videos like this, who takes the game seriously and isn't screwing around. They're trying to win. So the flop comes down with a jack of spades, 9 of spades, and 8 of diamonds. A lot of beginners and a lot of amateurs and recreational players will look at this flop and go, wow, this is amazing, I have top pair. Guys, the problem is you need to understand how to read flop board texture. This is not smashing the flop. Yes, we have top pair, top kicker, but there are so many straight draws, set possibilities, 2 pairs, massive combo draws. Let's just talk about a couple of them. If you choose to play a big pot versus a competent player here, they're going to turn over a hand like queen 10 for the flop straight, pocket jacks for a set, pocket nines for a set, pocket 10s for an open-ended straight draw, pocket 8s for a set, jack 9 for 2 pair, 9-8 for bottom 2 pair. Guys, I can go on and on. I think you get the idea. I didn't even talk about all of the massive combo draws on a flop like this. For example, a hand like ace 8 of spades. Guys, what you want to be doing in a spot like this is just check calling. I'm not saying that you should be folding top pair straight away on the flop here. That's also not a good strategy. Instead, what you want to be doing here is managing the size of the pot, and you do that by check calling instead of doing something crazy like check raising or making a big bet and calling a big raise. Guys, this is a situation to understand, number 1, player type, and number 2, board texture, and understanding that there's nothing really good that's going to come from us in a situation like this if we choose to play a big pot on a very, very coordinated and wet board like this. It is much better to just manage the size of the pot in a situation like this, and we'll see what happens on the turn or river. Let's move on to thing number 3 that you will never see poker pros doing, and that is re-raising ace king again on bad flop board textures. Let me give you an example. Once again, you've got ace king offsuit, and the nit calls you pre-flop, and the flop comes down with a queen of spades, king of clubs, and jack of diamonds. Once again, guys, exactly like the previous example here, this is a situation where if a nit makes a big bet into you here, you should just flat call. We want to manage the size of the pot. We do not want to re-raise here, because remember, guys, this is the tightest player at the table. We already talked about this player type earlier on in the video, and also this is a very wet and coordinated board texture where there are tons of hands that can already have you crushed. Let's just name a couple of them: pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace 10 is the flop straight, king queen top 2 pair, king jack is a bottom 2 pair, queen jack another 2 pair, 10-9 another flop straight. Guys, on and on. There are so many hands here that a tight player can have in a situation like this that has you in very, very bad shape. So guys, once again, be careful with a hand like top pair on wet boards like this against competent player types. Let's move on to thing number 2 that you will never see poker pros doing, and that is playing in bad poker games. Guys, I have beaten this horse to a bloody pulp on this channel. I've talked about it for 15 years on my poker blog. That is blackrain79.com, by the way. And that is that I do not play in poker games unless there is a fish at the table. It's very simple for me. Fish, I play. No fish, I leave. I don't don't have an ego in this game. I got into this game to make money. I'm assuming that for most of you serious poker players watching a video like this, that is the prime motivation as well. We keep scoring this game with money after all, and so therefore I'm not interested in playing in games with other really high-level players, world-class professionals, and trying to strut my stuff and prove how big and tough and strong I am. Guys, that is a losing strategy, once again, if making money is your goal in poker. Instead, I always have a player, like you see on your screen there. I'm using a HUD, by the way. This is my online poker table, and you're going to see that the player in blue to my direct right, by the way, and that is also important, is playing a crazy 55% of their hands. By the way, these are HUD stats, and if you want to know how to get these numbers on your online poker table, I will put a link to the HUD that I use in the description below. But guys, this is a guaranteed fish. I'm not going to go deep into the HUD stats, but you'll also notice that I am on the direct left of this player. This means that I'm going to have position. Remember, we already talked about that. I'm going to be able to act last on the flop, turn, and river in literally every single hand versus this player. I'm going to be able to isolate them pre-flop. Bottom line, guys, this is a money printer right here, and this is how you make money in poker. Guys, you can honestly throw all of the advanced strategy and theory out the window if you don't do this one simple thing correctly in poker. Always having a fish at the poker table, and preferably on your right, you're not going to have success in this game. All right, guys, let's move on to the number one thing that you're never going to see poker pros doing, and that is getting upset over every single bad beat. I have also mentioned this one countless times here on the channel, guys, is that all poker pros understand the math. They understand that we all need to pay what I call the fish tax in order to keep this game profitable. Let me give you an example. You've got pocket aces, the greatest hand ever created, and a random player with a hand like pocket sevens, for example. They're going to win. You could go all in pre-flop versus this hand, guys, with your pocket aces, and this hand is going to beat you close to 20% of the time. This is not some sort of crazy fluke when this comes through. It's going to happen 1 out of 5 times. And it doesn't mean that the game is rigged. It's actually just math. And the reason why the game is set up this way, guys, is that so bad players can shovel their money in when they're a significant underdog like this and get lucky sometimes. This is why they keep coming back for more and more. They reload more chips and fuel the entire industry, including your profits. So guys, I know it sucks when you do everything right in a poker hand and the fish runs away with your money, but you need to understand that this is built into the game. This is why this game is so profitable, and therefore you should be happy to pay the fish tax and let them win sometimes. Guys, do not make the mistake of berating them when they get lucky against you, as some unnamed famous poker pros like to do. All right, guys, I hope that these 7 tips helped. Like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and if you want to know my entire strategy to beat the small and mid stakes games, including charts, diagrams showing you what hands to play, when to bet, raise, bluff, and all that good stuff, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will catch you next time.